என்னோட பேர் விமல் நாகராஜன். இப்போ நடந்த இந்த சிவலிங்க சர்ச்சையில் காண்பிக்கப்பட்ட இந்த சிவபுராணம் இருக்கும் சரி, நம்ம சாஸ்திரங்களோட அந்த ரெஃபரன்ஸும் இந்த சமஸ்கிருதத்தை பற்றி இந்த டிக்ஷனரியில் பண்ணதுக்கு இதை பற்றி என்னோட கருத்தை நான் வீடியோவில் பதிவு செஞ்சுருக்கேன். நம்ம இந்து மதத்தில் இருக்கிற சாஸ்திரங்கள், இந்த ஸ்கிரிப்சர், அதாவது கிரந்தங்கள் சொல்கிறோம், இது ஒரிஜினலாக சன்ஸ்கிரிட்டில் இல்லைனா குரு பரம்பரையிலேருந்து வந்த எடிஷன்ஸை நம்ம பார்க்கணும் இல்லையா. எங்கேயும் இந்த ஆக்ஸ்போர்டில் இருக்கிற ஜேர்னல்ஸும் சரி, எங்கேயும் யாரோ வெளியாக்கின டிக்ஷனரிலாம் ஒரு முறையான நம்மளோட கிரந்தங்களாக ஏற்றுக்கொள்ளவே முடியாது. ஸோ இதெல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சு ஒரு இந்துவா இந்த சாஸ்திர அனுபவம்லாம் தெரிஞ்சு சமஸ்கிருத விஷயத்தை தெரிஞ்சு ஒரு இந்துவா எப்ப நம்மளோட மதத்தை தவறா சித்தரிக்கிறப்ப இதை பாக்குறப்ப ஆஸ் அ ஹிந்து என்னோட மனசு ரொம்ப வேதனைப்படுது. பிகாஸ் இது நம்மளோட இந்து மதம் இல்ல, இப்படி சித்தரிக்கப்படுறது உண்மைக்கு புறம்பா இருக்கு. ஐ எம் கோயிங் டு கிளாரிஃபை த ரீசன் misrepresentation and spreading of misinformation regarding what truly Shivalinga is. Let me elaborate one by one with evidences.
Apa ni lingam tu apa? Saya ambil kamus bahasa Sanskrit bukan saya tulis punya kamus kamus bahasa Sanskrit dan saya tunjuk dekat orang, ini makna lingam menurut kamus. Apa maksud dia? Kemaluan lelaki.
When on earth did the dictionary become a scripture? You can't differentiate between a word and a concept. Even Wikipedia knows linga is not merely a word but an entire philosophy by itself. It takes a very long page for it to discuss, present, consolidate based on numerous researchers, views from scholars, scriptures, historical and archaeological evidence and discussion from reputable scholars, and finally come to conclusion that linga denotes sign or mark. And you just took some dictionaries and defined such a huge ideology. Shouldn't you refer to our Hindu scriptures and not some dictionaries, especially for religious studies? I'll come to Shivapurana later, but taking dictionaries as a reference is not at all acceptable. Dictionaries are not our Hindu scriptures.
Semua kamus dictionary, semua kamus Sanskrit, saya boleh kata hampir semua kamus Sanskrit, kalau yorang cek, yorang akan dapati makna, memberikan makna yang seperti mana saya cakap.
Now, I have a reputable dictionary that contradicts to all your other dictionaries. Now, what you're going to say about this? When you search for the word linga, wasn't there other meanings as well? My question is, why you only highlighted that one meaning and ignore the rest? Linga's direct meaning is symbol or sign. That's it. Because it means sign, at times it's also used to indicate gender, which is why in Sanskrit we have the word pullinga, which means male, strilinga, which means female, napumsakalinga, which means genderless. If linga means only phallus, how come a word like strilinga can exist in Sanskrit? Are you trying to say that females also have phallus? Can't you see from here the linga means sign? But what you did, you took a small portion and projected that to be the main meaning. Do you know what you did is spreading misinformation by deliberately hiding the main meaning, the rest of the meaning, and only projected the 5% to be the 100%. Is that fair? Do you even know how the word is formed in Sanskrit? Do you know every Sanskrit word is made up of a root word dhatu, which resonates with its actual form and significance? I'll tell you one example. The word mantra, a very famous word in Sanskrit. Do you know how the word mantra is formed? Manana trayate iti mantraha. That which saves mind is a mantra. Likewise, how the word linga is formed? Liyate gamyate iti lingaha, which means that which has no beginning nor end. Li plus gam become lingam. Li meaning in which everything merges, gum meaning in which everything goes. This clearly represents that which has no beginning nor end, where all the substances merge into one just before it disappears into formless. An utmost image where someone could possibly think of a formless aspect of God. This, an elliptical shape, has no center, has no beginning nor end, and this is linga, the form of formless God. Is also known as Sadashiva Tattva with 5 facets. Nishkalatva Nirakaram Lingam Tasya Samagatam. Linga is the formless aspect of the Supreme God beyond all the forms. This is clearly established in the first section of Shiva Purana, which you have conveniently left out. Since you are only interested in equating the word linga with phallus, and since only that meaning is visible to you out of the entire list, let me show you what is the actual Sanskrit word for this organ. If male organ is what's being mentioned in the Shiva Purana, how come none of these words ever appeared in any of the original Sanskrit texts? You have meddled with the ancient Sanskrit scriptures without having right Sanskrit understanding, nor did you consult any approved religious scholars, especially when stating something controversial, that too in a public platform. It's like you have just barged into ancient archaeological site and completely messed it up.
Written by J.L. Sastry. Professor lah, he's a professor.
Does Shiva Purana really mention linga as phallus? You mentioned that you took the Shiva Purana by J.L. Shastri, but did you know that is not the authentic original text? The original manuscript of Shiva Purana is the Bombay 1884 manuscript recension, which is published by Vangavasi Press, Calcutta in 1896. You took a book which is based upon a secondary edition and not the original manuscript. J.L. Shastri's book is later published at 1906 and is highly interpolated, a fact already proven by Indologist Ludo Rocha. Not only that, even the translation is not accurate. You can clearly see this in the disclaimer, where it's written, "This translation of Sanskrit texts are not approved by everyone associated with the traditions connected to these texts. Consult the source and the original scripture." Isn't this enough to prove that you are wrong?
இப்ப வித்யாஸ்வரம் சங்கீதால வந்து section number 1 ல வந்து chapter 19. I just read the tajuk saja. Saya tak mau pergi inside untuk read apa semua, tak mau. Saya hanya read tajuk dan saya tak mau bagi sebarang penjelasan. Tajuk dia chapter 19, the worship of Shiva's Eden phallic image.
Since you mentioned that even the Vidyeshwara Samhita has titled themselves suggesting phallus, like the chapter 19 or 20 and so on, but if you read the content, you cannot find a single part where it explicitly mentions it is from the male organ. If you look at the chapter 19's title, which says the worship of earthen phallus, did you verify with the actual Sanskrit script or text? Do you know what the actual Sanskrit text says? It's a Parthiva Linga, which means the formless symbol made out of an earth element. But the translator, he puts as earthen phallus, a blatantly wrong translation of a Sanskrit word. And how you can take that without verifying with the actual text?
Samhita la போயிட்டு chapter number 4 verse number 6 ல படிச்சீங்கனாக்கா, kalau orang baca, dia akan beritahu history ataupun dalam Shiva Purana, dia ada history bagaimana sebenarnya wujudnya Shiva Lingam.
If you want to refer to Koti Rudra Samhita as the story or origin how the linga is associated with the male organ, this entire section is fabricated, interpolated, and is not found in the original manuscript of Shiva Purana, clearly proved by Indologist Ludo Rocha in the year 1986 in his work called The Puranas, a history of Indian literature. My point is very simple. The actual Shiva Purana does not connect linga with male organ or phallus as per the wrong translation of J.L. Shastri's book. And your mistake here is, without verifying your reference, without consulting any religious scholars, you have portrayed and projected our scriptures wrongly in a public platform. You have spread misinformation. Do you know why we Hindus didn't have problem with this fabricated story of Koti Rudra Samhita? It's because if a story is mentioned in any Purana, there will be a continuity, consistency in all other Puranas, Idihasa, devotional works like Devaram, and even set in stone in temples. The version where the Lord manifests as Nila Lohita in Darukavana forest, depicted in the interpolated Koti Rudra Samhita, is entirely a misfit. It did not match the same Darukavana incident in any other Puranas, especially Linga Purana, Padma Purana, and Skanda Purana. None of these texts mention the fall of the male organ as depicted in the interpolated version of J.L. Shastri's Koti Rudra Samhita. Even the Sthala Purana, the recorded local history of temple, the Chidambaram temple, did not portray what is mentioned in the Koti Rudra Samhita. So not only have Indologists proved this Koti Rudra Samhita to be interpolation, it is not in the original manuscript, it is not reflected across all the Puranas, Idihasas, Periya Puranam, even Sthala Puranam is not recorded in any poetic or devotional works of our saints and sages. Let me list down all your mistakes. First, you use dictionaries as a reference, which is not our Hindu scriptures. No matter how many dictionaries you stack up and show, they are completely invalid here. Linga is not merely a word for you to define. Linga is a concept, religion by itself. Number 2, even if you take the dictionary, hiding the main primary meaning and all other meanings, you just took a small portion at the bottom, that to a secondary meaning, and projected that to be the main absolute definition, is a misrepresentation of a fact. Number 3, taking a non-authentic, non-original edition which has already been disproved and quoting that without verifying with the actual Sanskrit verse, nor with the approved religious scholars, you have irresponsibly portrayed the entire scriptures wrongly in a public platform. Your J.L. Shastri Shiva Purana is not our true Shiva Purana. Number 4, you have propagated a false interpolate Koti Rudra Samhita